This is how it begins, or so they say, with a gentle wind drifting through wide open windows, of laughters and footsteps fading behind empty hallways, and the light kiss of the afternoon sun. Soon there will be a call, crossing of thresholds into the unknown. Maybe we are off to some grand adventure or diving into another gripping mystery. One can't really tell, but for all I know, a hero might even come sweep me off my feet if I'm lucky.
That's not exactly a bad thing when you think about it.
But this is far from one, isn't it? A riveting tale, that is. The wild breeze, the faint murmurs, the warm rays painting every nook and cranny in a fiery hue. They are all as real as they can get. Sweet mother of brightness, as much as I want to write a little tale about all this, I'm far from someone who can. Fleeting fancies, that's what these are. Merely passing through the thoughts to occupy an idle mind while waiting for another busy work day to end. And again, maybe in another life, I am one, who knows. But at present, what I have and what I've chosen to be, well...
I won't last years here if I find teaching rowdy adolescents a tedious job, will I?
Admittingly, the whole affair isn't exactly as grand and exciting as I imagined as a child. If I weren't so stubborn, too passionate about the whole idea, I probably would have quit a long time ago. But it's always the kids that make it worthwhile, isn't it? As if in agreement, as soon as my pen slides into a neat circle against the paper, so grating, the final bell rings. Like a dam that is open, students begin piling out into the hallway soon after. For a short minute, I let the noise fill my ears. I let my mind wander to a place far removed from the hubbub. Solitary moments like this have come few and far between lately. Even my own home hasn't been as quiet as I usually prefer, though in hindsight the entire place hasn't been the same either, since Isabella moved in next door. And if her fussing over a minor cold last week tells anything, I might as well throw any idea of solitude out the nearest balcony, so long as she lives nearby. At the memory, my eyes automatically shift over to the bottle sitting at the edge of my desk. A chuckle escapes from me as I reach for it.
A little ball of energy and enthusiasm. That big baby.
Mother Hen, she calls me, and then says and does the same thing right after. It's not that I'm unused to being on the receiving end of the people's worries, or I feel any sort of apprehension over her fretting. If I am going to be completely honest, it's actually amusing how someone can be a childlike one minute and act like a responsible adult the next. How dare you? And there's a dissonance there, both in her actions and words. Although she may not look like it, may not say anything, may not lose her cheer one way or another, I know these troubles have weighed her down on her lately. Her face says it all. That big numpty. Numpty? What the hell? If she thinks I won't notice, she's got another thing coming for her. That's how she's always been. I do understand that part loud and clear. It's just that... really, I'd rather not pass another burden on her.
Or become one myself.
Am I supposed to be the one taking care of them? Though I guess that's simply one of those things that people eventually grow away from once you've all started leading different lives. Not completely different, I hope. Somehow that thought makes me feel uneasy. Thankfully, before the strange ideas can take root in my head, a faint buzzing comes from my back, cutting through the rest of my thoughts. A small frown forms in my lips when the screen lights up and an unknown number flashes. For a long second, my thumb hovers over the answer button, but even that voice responds, and once I do accept the call, it's wholly unfamiliar.
Hello?
Oh, goodness. Finally, it connects. Hello? Is this Miss Gales? Rebecca Gales.
Depends, is a telemarketer.
Yes, yes, speaking. Who is this?
Oh, sorry. Rose Cooper, Briar Realty Corporation.
Briar Realty?
My frown deepens as I straighten from my chair. Sober undertone, despite sounding remarkably familiar and light, doesn't sit quite well with me. Rigid pause that follows doesn't help ease the tension that suddenly descended either.
Miss Cooper?
Yes. Things are a bit busy on my end. I apologize. I'm not certain if Isabella has mentioned anything before, but we're We're working together on a property at the moment, and
Is it me, or is this music a little annoying?
The Ermengarde Mansion, yes. She said something about that earlier. Is there a problem?
this is about Isabella, actually.
Situation of time relaying everything. Details she provided are admittedly a bit vague, but enough for me to get a gist of what happened. It isn't the bad sort I'm expecting, though I'm still worried. She with the words panic attack, pale, looking a bit sickly, woven together in one foreboding sentence. But as quickly as it surfaces, I stomp down on the urge to demand answers right there and then. That wasn't the proper time for useless questions, so I'll find out soon enough regardless. To Miss Cooper's credit, she neither hesitates nor falters all throughout. There's some room of comfort, or some sort of comfort, in knowing Isabella has someone like her to guide her, though not as much as I would have liked. After all, this is Isabella we're talking about. What are the chances she just had a bunch of excuses so she won't get sent home? High. Very high. Oh, she is so going to hear it this time.
You were listed as one of her emergency contacts, so I thought it'd be best you know about this.
How is she? Is she doing okay?
I had her take a break for now, but honestly, I'd feel better if someone were to pick her up and take her home for some rest. Anthem's a fair distance from Luxbourne. I really don't want her going off on her own. I'd do it myself, but oh, you know how it is today. Big day. People everywhere until the open house ends.
Hold on. Hey, you can stop that shit. This music's just really annoying.
I'm really sorry to ask this of you, Miss Gales. I know you're busy.
Oh, no, it's all good. I was just about to leave from work. I hope to leave early today anyway. I can be there in a few, 30, 40 minutes tops. Is that all right?
More than fine, Miss Gales, thank you. We're supposed to be here until... Oh, excuse me. One moment, please. Yes, ma'am.
In humble conversation echoes from her end. It sounds as though the place is buzzing with more people than you'd expect from a regular open house. I was skeptical at first. The house is old, not to mention it's an inconvenient location in Luxbourne's outskirts. Who wants to live in a place almost an hour's drive away from the comforts of a city? I do. But, from what little I can hear, it appears Isabella has every right to be optimistic about the sale. If I didn't understand why she was so adamant refusing my offer to help before, I think I do now. To some degree.
We'll be resuming the tour soon. Yes, thank you. Sorry about that. I really need to get this thing going. Lord knows how I'll salvage the situation here. It shouldn't be anything complicated, but still, clients. They can be difficult when they want to be. Anyway, just look for me when you get here, alright? I shouldn't be too hard to miss.
No problem. Thanks for letting me know about this. Just make sure Isabella stays put, please. Heaven knows how stubborn that girl can be.
Oh, believe me, I know. Don't worry about it. I'll have a few of our staff keep an eye on her for me until you get here.
That's all I'm asking. I appreciate it.
All things on a surprisingly pleasant note. If only the same thing can be said about the news she brought. I will allow a brief moment to pass to ease whatever tension has lashed itself firmly to my nerves, but no matter how much I wish for it, my mind stubbornly refuses to do so. My hands are unsteady against the papers I pretend to arrange after. Lucid thoughts, every single ounce of grimmer than the other, grows each passing second I linger. Something about this whole thing, along with a sudden unease and nagging worry, screams off. Wrong. This isn't the riveting tale I'd hoped to step into today. Even on a rush, getting everything in order before leaving takes nearly a good quarter hour. By the time I make it out of the classroom, the commotion has already died down, dwindling to mere echoes and distant laughters. From the nearby door, melodies from a rehearsing band drifts freely into the air, filling the almost empty hallway with their warm, lively tunes. Any other day, I'd stop, bask in the music, and enjoy what little peace it brings. Not today, however. My steps are brisk and sure as I march to Edouard Hall's exit. The sooner I confirm Isabella's okay, the sooner I can shake off this niggling feeling. Niggling? A thing, I guess. For one reason or another, that single call of all possible things has thrown everything off kilter. I'd rather this be over with as quickly as possible. So much for that nearly barrel over a student in my head. Though perhaps it's really the other way around. When I look down, a set of eyes, bright and hopeful, stare back at me. Her arms are wrapped around my waist like a vice, and at my attention, a grin spreads over her face.
Buenas tardes, Miss Pink.
Hello, Kylie. You know, you aren't supposed to run into people like that.
Sorry, Miss Pink.
She loosens her hold on me, but not a hint of guilt or regret appears on her. If anything, it seems like the only remark only amused her. A smile appears on my face before I can help it, matching the one on her own.
Just remember not to do it again, all right? You could get hurt.
You sound like my mama when she's scolding Rowan, Miss Pink.
I'm sure your mama only means well. I know she'll be worried sick if one of you were to get hurt. Where's your brother anyway? Aren't you two supposed to be heading home now?
Rowan said he's got some stuff he needs to do before we go. I think he's taking too long. But he promised to buy me jelly babies today. If I keep what he's doing a secret from Mama and Papa.
Jelly babies. Okay.
Any chance you'll tell Miss Pink about it?
She shakes her head with her hands going to her mouth as if to keep a precious secret from spilling
I
out.
need a promise. She said it's for Tio Luke.
Oh, something like a gift?
Like a deal. Tio promised to take him somewhere cool when he's old enough. Rowan's gonna prove he's a grown-up.
After slips free from my lips, the teacher and me wants to give whoever this Tio is a rubber hand for bringing about this kind of behavior in children. But if Sawara's kids are so fond of him, there shouldn't be anything to worry about, yes? At any rate, there's nothing but well-behaved, both Kylie and her brother. Rowan, the eldest, may have an occasional odd streak in and out of class, but their parents taught them well. I see no reason to cast any suspicion of bad behavior on them.
As long as it isn't anything dangerous, all right?
It's not. Cross my heart. My drawings are a lot prettier than what he's doing anyway. Tio said so. Do you want to see? I drew one earlier at class.
Is that why you're here?
Not really. I was gonna show it to my friend first. But since it's you, I'm sure she wouldn't mind if you see it before she does.
Oh no. I can't stay right now, Kylie.
Face falls immediately after the words are out. A small part of me feels responsible for what the crestfallen look, but as much as I want to stay longer, there's another place I need to be right now. And frankly, another child to look after. Taking both of her hands, I kneel in front of her and muster the most rueful smile I can give. At her age, I'm quite sure she already understands what I'm about to say before they're even out. Not remarkably, she doesn't look away or pout as I'm expecting her to.
I'm sorry. You know what? Rowan has a class with me on Monday around this time. Why don't you drop by again next week? After class? I'll even make sure to wait for you. It's just that I absolutely must leave now. My friend had an accident earlier, and I'm the only one she has here.
What about her mama and papa?
Her family lives really far from here, I'm afraid. Do you remember where Asia is? The southeast part? That's where they are.
Her eyes immediately light up at the question. Just like that, I know I've earned the girl's forgiveness.
Oh, just like Takako.
Who?
My friend. She said she used to live there, only just a little higher than southeast. But she hasn't come home in a long time, so she doesn't remember much about it anymore. Melody says it's weird I talked to her, but I think she's just shy. They could be good friends too. Don't you think so, Miss Pink?
Maybe if you introduce them properly, they will be.
That's what I think. Takako's just lonely. If she makes more friends, she won't be anymore. Is your friend like that too?
A little, possibly. To be honest, sometimes I can't tell with her.
At this rate, we could have just looked at the artwork she has. After all, Isabella has always been the kind to hold a smile even when things have taken a turn for the worse. 5 years and one thing, well, I think it's enough time to know a person. But when you consider it, come to think of it, all these years I've never, not even once, seen her cry. Not even a trivial matter of even when things are tough.
Okay, you can go to her. I'll just show you my drawing next time.
Thank you. Remind me to buy you a huge glass of parfait, all right?
No, I'll get a stomachache. Takako says so. A small one is okay.
I'll remember that. Say hi to your friend for me.
I will. I'm sure she'd love to meet you too. See you, Miss Pink.
I'll see you later, Kylie.
London Bridge is falling down, falling down, falling down.
That song again.
London Bridge is falling
She doesn't look
down.
back or wait for any sort of goodbye from me. With a song and an extra spring in her step, she bounds across the corridor with as much spirit only a child her age can have. As if the conversation has never taken any downhill turn for her at all. As if there isn't a single thing to worry about in the world. Not long after, she disappears behind a door, leaving behind the strains of an old familiar rhyme lingering in the air. Carefree, unbidden, untroubled moments like this I envy her. Called being a child. As I resume my hurried pace, a tiny whisper at the back of my mind wishes the same can be said of myself and my own worries. Luxburn may be a small city, but it's no stranger to hellish rush hour traffic. Surprisingly, getting out of the city today proves more of a breeze than a hassle. A relief considering how none of my calls to Isabella made it through. Either the reception's really bad over there or she's ignoring them on purpose. Both does nothing to ease the disquiet in me. The rest of my drive passes without much incident as soon as I'm out of the busy streets. In less than 30 minutes, the mansion looms ahead of me. All the fuss Isabella made about the house, it remains a thing of beauty. Unlike Luxburn, the estate in nearby Anselm village stands as its complete opposite. Living and breathing the songs of old, whispers of a once booming haven lingering in the air. Contemporary conveniences aside, it's a place I'm glad modernicity hasn't wholly touched.
It's just a shame the locals know more of the silly hearsay than the history itself. If I could only knock some sense into these people!
Sadly, it is all I can afford to do. Much as I want to give them a piece of my mind, it isn't why I'm here. I don't think these rich types will appreciate getting a lecture from me either. I have as much business with them as they have with me. With a heavy sigh, I give myself one last second to take in the scenery before heading up the main entrance. Most of the guests are already heading out, though some still linger. It's mainly just to take photos of the house's facade, its various rooms. I pause for a moment, scanning the small crowd gathering at the foyer, looking for any sign of the familiar ponytail among the sea of hats and heads.
No sign of her.
No sign of the other staff or Miss Cooper, either. I can certainly look for Isabella on my own, but in a place this big, I'd be lucky if I didn't end up lost or find her before we need to meet with Zachary and Ashtonite. Sighing, I reach for my mobile and redial her number, the gesture familiar now after so many attempts earlier. She doesn't answer. I can still try contacting Miss Cooper. I just hope the network reception will cooperate this time. The side of the county has never been popular with the tech-savvy after all. To my relief, it only took 3 unsuccessful tries. At the 4th one, right as it's about to switch to another intercept message, the line finally rings. Silence follows while I wait for her to pick up, the ringing going far too long for my taste. By now, most of the visitors have already cleared out. All I have for company are the faint murmurs and eerie calmness left in their wake. A sudden hush settles and gives way to noises louder than they're ever meant to be. Doors creaking and slamming shut in some distant part of the mansion, floorboards groaning under the sheer weight of the house's history. In the now empty hall, they are reverent with special clarity against the walls. Like this, those old stories seem to almost have a ring of truth to them. I get to stray far into the ugly line of thought, however. Not a second later, a click sounds from the other end.
Hello? Isabella? Miss Cooper called earlier and... Isabella? Belle? Are you alright?
Without any warning, the call gets cut off. Busy notes blare sharply against the heavy silence. But above the noise cutting through the mute air remains the faint cries of a woman from beyond the foyer. My hands fall to my sides as I cast a wary look around, waiting for someone to come running. Surely I can't be the only one hearing this, right? There must be some small staff hanging around, checking things out. But no one does. Not even when her sobs turn more frantic and anguished.
Excuse me? Hello? Who's there?
I feel like traumatizing all of you. Oh, we're doing this.
Isabella? Isabella? Is that you?
Growing anxious, I amble over where the cries come from, each step slow and cautious towards the door on the other end of the room. While I'm far from someone who readily gives in to fear, stories lacking in factual basis, the vague and restless feeling I have earlier immediately returns to me. and despite myself, my heart begins to race and my breathing quickens.
Belle, it's me. Miss Cooper called. Is everything okay?
Abruptly, all of it stops. My whole body tenses, mouth dragging in a ragged breath, ears straining for another sound yet to come from the other side. This is where it happens. No. You're sitting there, you're waiting for it, you're absorbing sounds, and then... But nothing follows. Instead, the quiet only lends itself to the heavy tension in the air, as if every small movement will disturb the fragile stillness hanging in the air. I wait for another second. Then, with caution, I reach for the knob. My fingers barely graze the brass handle when the hand falls on my shoulder.
Excuse me. I am so sorry. I didn't mean to startle you.
No,
Still reeling, my gaze shifts back to the door, and as if any second now the cries will start again, and whoever's inside will burst out of the room. I don't get to dwell on these. The woman's worried voice breaks through the haze in my mind again, oddly soothing in the thickness of my unease. Even if the concerned looks comes from a total stranger, finally being in the company of someone else is somehow comforting.
Ma'am? Are you okay?
Oh, no, I'm fine. This is probably just some cold.
Do you need to sit down?
No need. I'm actually looking for a friend.
I wave the mobile in front of her like the gesture alone explains everything. Vaguely, I note my tight grip on it and quickly slip it into my pocket before she notices she doesn't need to know.
Well, I'm not really sure if your friend would still be here. We're actually about to close the open house in a few minutes, ma'am.
No worries. She's not a guest here. She works for Briar Realty. Miss Cooper called me earlier. In fact, I'm also looking for her.
Recognition flashes in her eyes, and her worried expression dissolves into a smile at once. It's all I need to know that I don't have to look elsewhere or venture deeper into the mansion on my own. In some ways, I'm not too keen on the latter right now.
Oh, Miss Rebecca Gales, is it?
Yes. Sorry if I'm a bit late.
It's not a problem. I was busy with the open house and a few clients anyway. It's actually a good thing you came when you did. Let's see. Isabella should be here somewhere. I told her to stay put earlier. That girl never listens.
Rose? Rosie, may I have a minute? There's just this one little thing before we go.
Cooper's head immediately snaps up at the voice, and a blink, a different kind of smile spreads on her face. A smile still friendly even, but the kind given mainly for the sake of pleasing other people rather than making friends.
Yes, ma'am. I'll be there in a few.
It's an impressive thing, to say the least. The level of professionalism. I suppose working in years of business trains you enough to be able to pull that off without batting an eye. What? Oh, this is a good smile, I swear. It certainly didn't seem to have rubbed off on Isabella, though.
Sorry, could you give me a second? I have to take care of this.
Don't worry about it. I understand. I can wait a few more minutes. Clients, right?
You won't hear anything from me. Priorities, you know? But if you want, you can stay at the parlor in the meantime. I think we have a few refreshments left.
No, thank you. I'm going out with a few friends after this. Isabella's supposed to join us too. But that depends on how she's doing, of course.
Alright, this won't be long, I promise.
Throws me an apologetic look before sauntering over to the small group gathered at the entrance. A couple, or siblings, or another woman, probably their secretary. Either way, they look no different from the other guests. All three of them primly dressed, albeit in a manner significantly simpler than the others, no frills, no extravagance of any form. But their gestures and movements alone speak volumes of their ingrained lifestyle. In their presence, I do what I can to appear inconspicuous on my side of the foyer. Maybe accepting Miss Cooper's offer would have been a much better choice than standing awkwardly around. Okay. So it isn't me. He has like this dark aura that's flowing around him at all times. As if he hasn't bathed. Moving on. While also attempting my best not to listen in on their conversation. Although, that one proves more difficult with how enthusiastic the blonde woman is. Her voice easily echoes through the halls with only the 5 of us here. Pretty soon I find myself being drawn into their talk without meaning to.
Tomorrow? First thing in the morning?
First thing in the morning, ma'am.
The mundane talk is what catches my attention, however.
Very well. We'll have our lawyers prepare everything as soon as possible. Let's make this whole thing easier for everyone, shall we? Just let me know if there's anything you need from me. You know how to contact me, yes?
Got your mobile number saved here already.
Good. It's just a matter of time then.
It's a brief moment. A fleeting shift of my
Good
eye.
day for us, Marianne.
As long as you're positive, we won't be having any problems by that time. You can count on my team.
You worry too much. Let me handle those things. Do be thrilled, though. I imagine it's not every day you get projects like this,
And the instant I turn my gaze on him, I see it.
Oh, I'm certain Mint's ecstatic, Buttercup. Aren't you, Marianne? You know, we could all celebrate this with a few drinks. Why don't we? In fact, there's this really excellent Irish pub I visited a few days ago.
Looming. Hovering over his shoulders. Oh, so I'm not crazy after all. Drawn to him like a moth to the flame. A dark blur. No, shadow.
I think I'll pass on that, sir. I have more important matters to attend to.
Darling, your liver.
What? Why is everything muffled?
You already had a glass today, and apparently a few days ago as well. How many times do we have to remind you? Doctor's orders, remember?
Is everything getting worse? But as I try to make sense of it, a heavy feeling descends over my whole body. It happens without warning, forcing me to close my eyes. The sensation creeps to every part of me, crawling under my skin, draining me little by little of any strength. Before I know it, my hand is gripping the nearby door for support. My sudden nausea drowns out their voices and what little sound there is. All except for the whispers and laughter. Judging. Mocking. Taunting. Muffled, inaudible words bearing down on me like a death sentence. They wrap around my neck and limbs, binding tightly, even with every syllable, every utterance. And with each draw of breath I take, they drag me down slowly, almost painfully into a bottomless abyss. On and on and on, until the sounds turn into mere distant echoes, until suddenly it shatters.
Well, what are we waiting for? Are we done here?
And now the dark presence is gone. His voice rips through the fog like a sharp blade, and my eyes snap open. When I look at them again, it's gone.
Just a second, darling. Send my regards to Isabel, please. Poor girl. Please let her know she doesn't have to worry, and tell her to get some rest. Anyway, we're looking forward to seeing you tomorrow.
Likewise, ma'am.
The shadows are dark clouds. Only amicable smiles, cordial handshakes, the usual pleasantries as Miss Cooper leads them out of the mansion like a graceful host. None of the group seems to have noticed it either. And even as I force my breathing to calm down, keep my eyes trained on their backs, and wait for something to happen, it doesn't come back. She returns a moment later. Gently, she closes the great doors behind her, but there's a smile on her lips, an extra skip in her step. She walks back to me. Whatever she was discussing with the group had put her in a good mood. Even she appears to have not observed anything odd. I was just seeing things.
Glad that was over. It's been a long day. I thought for sure we were going to... Hey, are you sure you're doing okay? You look a bit green.
What level of green are we talking? Your hair, or...
It's all good. I'm actually still recovering from a cold.
Believe your own hype that much?
I am the hype! Welcome, White Dragon. Thank you very much for the host in the ring.
Weather's been crazy lately.
That must be it. The weather, the stupid cold, the friendly warnings. I'm so stubborn to listen to it. Much as I hate to admit it, Isabel's right. I was and still am a little feverish when she visited me at the school this morning. The medicine helped, of course, but only some. Although it's not like I can't function. I did get better after lunch, and I was able to go through my schedule like the usual. Now, I'm not so sure. However, I can't keep acting like I've seen some sort of apparition when it's anything but I simply must have listened too many times to Isabella last week. My fever-muddled mind started to confuse things. If this isn't let up, I just need another visit to the doctor, plain and simple. Thank you for showing your love. Though I do hope it won't get worse. We had promised to watch a Zachary's film together.
I know what you mean. I've been complaining to Isabel. It doesn't seem to affect her much, though. Must be because she grew up in the tropics. Anyway, shall we? She's probably hanging out with the rest of the catering staff.
Oh, I wouldn't be surprised she's there. She eats like 10 hungry men when she isn't feeling well. I'll lead the way.
A small nod, he gestures for me to follow. I do so without much thought, finally putting everything in the back of my mind. The entire visit took a whole 24 minutes. My trip to the mansion, as it turns out, is a useless endeavor in and of itself. Isabel's no longer there, left shortly before I arrived, or at least that's what the few staff who saw her assumed. None of them know where she went, but I can take a few guesses. There are only a number of places in Luxburn she frequents, and, well, she's never been the complex kind. It doesn't really take a genius to figure that out. Still, it's all she left on her own. She could have at least waited for Miss Cooper. It would have saved her having to pay the cab's fare twice today.
And right after she was told to stay put. I mean, who does that? Oh, sod off! You don't own the road!
In the end, all Miss Cooper could give me were a string of apologies for my trouble and a request to let her know when I find Isabella. The whole affair didn't even last long. I probably spent more time traveling back and forth. Soon enough, I'm weaving my way back to downtown Luxburn, worried sick, and on top of that, maybe a little annoyed. Whether at the unexpected turn of events or Isabella herself, I'd rather not think about it now. Not when I'm already running late for Zachary's film. Besides, I'm perfectly sure that's where I'll find her. As one would expect, people are already gathered for the movie house when I get to it. The small avenue where it's located has been closed off early from any passing traffic to make sure that for avid moviegoers who are sure to crowd the venue. I have to park almost a street away and walk the remaining distance because of it. Oh, you poor thing. Looking for them has taken a while in the crowd this big, but eventually I spot them near the entrance. Next to Zachary, mostly. And while I'm surmised Isabel's with him.
I knew it.
Wasting no time, I march over to the little group. Words filled with concern tumble out of my mouth before I can stop myself.
Isabella! Oh, thank goodness! Becca, you're just in time.
Odd expression crosses her face as I hold it both hands, and I ignore it in a favor of getting a good look at her, forcing her to keep still and fix her gaze at me.
Becca, you're squishing my face.
It's for wasting 24 minutes of my time.
How are you? Are you all right? Why wouldn't I be?
There doesn't seem to be any visible injury, nor does she appear to be in pain. Outrage. Apart from the confusion frown as at my question, she looks pretty much like she would any other day. Even so, you can't really tell those things with her at first glance. The last time she got sick, she never bothered to call anyone, even me, who lives right next door. I'm playing as the pink one. If I hadn't checked on her then, she probably would have died on her bed with the rest of us, none the wiser. It's one thing we laugh about now, but moments like this also teaches you something about a person. If anything, it has given me more reason to consistently worry about her. In the moment a familiar name comes up, I know my concerns right now aren't completely baseless.
Rose called me earlier.
Her expression swiftly changes, and gently as she can, Isabella pushes my hands away. Yet, even before she says anything, I already have a hunch of how this whole thing will play out.
Oh, no, everything's good. Rose, that's not what I'm talking about. How's your head?
Then and there, the whole conversation goes down as I had imagined. She dodges my hand when I reach for the back of her head, intending to check this said injury myself, and even makes a show of hiding behind Zachary just to avoid me. Instantly, what's supposed to be simple inquiry dissolved in a shameless game of tag. Shouting and chasing like none of us can be bothered to act like full-grown adults we're all supposed to be. Including Ashton. I won't put it past Isabella, but Ash, out of everyone. In fact, if that stupid smirk on his face tells me anything, it finds this whole mess amusing. Oh, for the love of—
Isabella, this isn't a laughing matter.
She did look pale when I saw her.
Wow, thanks a lot, Ashton, you traitor. I'll get you back for this. Just you wait.
What? I'm just saying it as it is. If you mentioned this earlier, we wouldn't be having this conversation right now.
There's a moment's pause. My hand still mid-air as my attention shifts to Ashen, the words he leaves hanging between the four of us. Doesn't meet my eye, I don't think he even is aware of what he said. But the meaning in every syllable alone is clear. And they echo. They sting. They burn.
I'm sorry. Saw her?
Yeah, they arrived together. Bella looked fine to me then. I don't know.
Of course. Of course. Why else would Isabella leave on her own after being told to stay put? After that little chat about money this morning? Something close to silence falls while I mull over their words, both what's already been said and what's left unspoken. But I do find my voice suddenly reeks with nothing but bitter, unpleasant thoughts. Thoughts I quickly snap out of before they surface. Thoughts I hide the best in the deepest parts of my mind, locking it away for no one to see.
Oh, that's good. At least she didn't have to travel alone, right? At least. Good.
Yet, as tries to might, the green-eyed monster easily rears its ugly head. Like it always does every time his gaze lingers a second longer. Every time he smiles in a manner far too gentle or far too sincere, whenever he thinks no one can see. Every time my mind suggests his word means more than they should. Every small little thing, despite what he says, despite his tone.
Look, you guys.
For all I know, it just could be the same kind of fondness born from friendship. Maybe I'm simply overthinking, like he often tells me. Maybe there really is something there. But in a short display of impatience, I know that the whole thing is just for show. After all, growing up together with him didn't teach me nothing about him. For whose sake it is at this time, though? For him? For Zachary? For her? Or is it for me? That I can't tell.
If she says she's okay, then there's nothing we can do about it. It's not like we can stop her either. Besides, she's still acting like the same old Isabella to me, if she can still run around like that.
Why are you taking her side?
I'm not. But if she wants to watch Zach's movie with us, I'm not going to stop her. She's probably the one looking forward to it the most.
Ash, that's... You, of all people, should know...
Tell you what, if I notice something amiss with her, I'll take her to the nearest hospital myself. Is that good enough for you?
My mouth opens and snaps shut almost quickly, forming a thin, hard line instead. I can't respond, but because there's nothing to say. On the contrary, there's so many things I could use to reason, get him to agree, but because he speaks with much clarity and with much reassurance, it feels like there isn't even a choice. All I can give is a long, deep breath and a reluctant nod in the face of it. Before I get a grip of myself, my own weakness, my mood immediately shifts, and I'm being tackled into a hug.
Thanks, Becca. It's always been you with him, isn't it? Did you say something?
You're ignorant.
Me? Nothing. Don't mind me.
A lie, obviously. What else could it be? Each and every smile a tiny effort to keep things as they are, or so I tell myself. Little did I know, this is merely a preamble. Starts out quietly, and without fanfare, amidst friendly jibes and harmless teasing, with a scrap of paper fluttering harmlessly to the ground. You like this way? Yes. I have to say it's one of the best visual novels that I've read. One that looks suspiciously like a cheap Halloween prank, no matter how you look at it. And yet, despite how ludicrous it all is, Isabella stubbornly insists, as if her whole life depends on acknowledging the truth in her story. Does she even realize how absurd she sounds right now? Crivians, even my students wouldn't fall for this.
Isabella, aren't you taking this a bit too far?
She doesn't give me the time to regret nor think over my choice of words. From there, it escalates, grows into an argument too petty even for our standards as adults. Before we know it, one after another, harsh, scathing words are being spoken.
It's not a joke! Will you guys listen to me first?
Very harsh, scathing words.
I saw something in the house earlier. It stood right in front of me.
Very harsh.
If I hadn't gotten away, that thing might have...
Right. And in broad daylight, Isabella. Even someone gullible would find the logic in that screwed up. There's also no way in hell that this supernatural shit is true.
But it's real! What do you think I saw?
A hallucination? A delusion? Didn't you say you fell down some stairs? So maybe Rebecca's right.
It happened after, when I was trying to get away. I almost got stuck in the same room with that thing. We're all in danger. I thought you were my friends. Why don't you believe me?
Don't like why I don't believe McDonald's has real meat in their food. Moving on. But someone has to be patient in all of this, and however much of my own has already been frayed earlier, there's no one else. Who else here can deal with someone selfishly acting like a child? Like every other time, it has to be me.
We are, and you know that. But this thing and that thing has got nothing to do with the other. When Rose called earlier, I thought she's just exaggerating. But based on what I'm seeing right now, maybe it's better if we really postpone this for now.
Don't bother.
Just like that, she cuts us off. Slams the door right on our faces, while my own temper flares because I can stop it. Although it falters briefly at the hard expression on her. When she snatches the blasted paper from Ashton, I hold on to it. Regardless of how upset she appears, soured expression and bald face throwing a tantrum is simply unacceptable. For a grown woman at that! Words form at the tip of my tongue, ready, but before I can open my mouth and let it all out, her feelings and mistakes can be damned. Zachary raises a voice of his own.
Guys!
A warning underneath a warm and hopeful beat in his voice. We all stop and look at him, even my own anger subsides a little at his tone.
Why don't we all calm down first? I'm sure Isabella has her reasons too. No need to be hard on her. And hey, ain't this supposed to be a happy get-together?
To an outsider, it may sound like a desperate request, but Zachary has always been the one to keep a level head over petty squabble. This time's no different. He knows what to say, and when he lets it all fall, they only ring sharp and true.
We haven't seen each other for months. I'd really love to know what y'all have been up to. I only ever get to talk to Bella over chat. Please.
And as careful as he is with his own tone, it does make me feel ashamed. We're supposed to be here for him, to give what little support we can, yet here he is, trying to keep 3 stubborn people from outright hashing it out in public. Later, we can, and we'll talk about it, of course. There's an appropriate time and place for it, and at the moment, my anger and whatever reprimands it carries no longer matter. Beside me, Ashton appears to have already caught on. The lines of his shoulders eased to something a little more relaxed, his expression back to his usual nonchalance. Isabella, however, she stands perfectly still, her hands clasping the straps of her bag like a lifeline, eyes trained at some point near her shoes. No anger in her face, only an undeniable hurt. But she's not even good at hiding what she thinks. She's already open book, always the one to wear her heart out in the open. And when she looks up, her answer is simple.
If we keep arguing here, we're going to miss the first few minutes.
Her lips are curled, no smile. Though lacking both its usual brightness and glee, it's a smile nonetheless. I've seen it countless times, it's just the very one she would show when she knows she has no choice. But, or simply when things get tough for her. But despite everything I already know about her, it catches me off guard. In all honesty, I expect her to run, to balk at the first sign of losing this time. I won't even be surprised. At 26, she is the youngest among the rest of us, less experienced, less accustomed to dealing with trivial quarrels like this. Yet here she is, holding herself, coping with it like how she would the matters concerning her family. Outside of that, to me, she has always been childish, naive girl watching the opposite play out right from now. Somehow I find it difficult to wrap my head around it. You should question yourself then.
Alright, that's the Isabella I know.
Oh, good. I thought for sure you were going to cry.
But I am near.
What was that for?
Stop calling me a crybaby! I'm not one!
Oh, don't cry.
Stop it!
I envy her spirit, her warmth, her cheer, the shine in her eyes when she looks at the world. How everyone seems to simply fall back to a pleasant, lively rhythm with her around. How easily and tightly she fits into our lives, even without bonds. Long years could forge like a lost piece of a puzzle despite her jagged edges. As she draws people to her with ease. How Ashton of all people can be drawn to her.
Okay, scaredy cat then.
That too! If you repeat that, I swear—
Let's just go.
I make no effort keeping the bitterness from my tone. I let it seep, lingering stiffly in the air as I avert my gaze from them. Basically, she's passive-aggressive. From their playful banter, the friendly teasing remarks, and Ashton's tender, affectionate smiles, all before the stabbing aches in my heart changed into something too painful to bear. It's all in my head. That's what I'd often tell myself. Yet the way my heart rends at the sight of them hurts. Like a coward, I walk away from all of it, taking with me the small hope that the movie will distract me away from those thoughts. Because like this, it's easy to find something to hate in her. Dusk has already given way to night when we leave the film fest. Unfortunately, it does nothing to improve my mood while I was hoping. Neither does the muggy air that greets us upon stepping back into the noisy streets. Too busy, too loud, too many people taking what little space the sidewalk offers. It forces anyone to bump shoulders with those who barely know, let alone care about. On a normal evening, I probably wouldn't have minded the crowd nor the humid weather, but it's not like any of them are bothering anyone. And yet, even with what's admittedly a pleasant company, I can't bring myself to lighten up.
See you guys some other time.
Yeah, see ya.
Not even return the smiles Ashton and Zachary gave us when we were going our separate ways. Perhaps I started with Miss Cooper's call, or earlier than that. Maybe even the moment I left bed this morning. Bloody hell, it couldn't have been of that sodding letter for all I know. I couldn't care less at this point. All I wanted to do was get to a warm bath, sleep, and wait for the dreadful day to end. Now, if only Isabella would stop babbling, and then maybe this dull throbbing at the side of my head wouldn't turn into a full-blown headache, too.
Zach did a pretty good job with his movie, didn't he? Even though Ash said he ran into some trouble late into filming. But I knew he had it in him. It's not like I didn't believe he couldn't do it. I mean, did you see his face after the credits rolled? All those months he worked on this, and everything's finally...
You weren't even watching.
Hard truth.
Only the first minutes. I watched the rest of it, I swear. Besides, Ashton was the one who wouldn't stop asking questions.
Well, why do we still need to talk about this then? I liked it. Ash liked it. You liked it. Shouldn't you be telling that to Zachary in person? I'm sure he'll appreciate it better than I ever will.
I know that, but maybe there's something you want to say? Zach had you check the scripts before he went through everything, didn't he? You also worked on it, even if it was only for a short time. So, maybe you want to...
I don't bother waiting for the rest. The moment I spot my car, I immediately make a big quick beeline for it. Knowing her, this is merely another attempt at starting a conversation, so we'll just have something to fill the dead air to replace the strained atmosphere we've somehow walked onto. One thing, the very thing, if not too keen to deal with at the present. Behind me, Isabel also changes her pace to match mine, her soft strides growing brisk and uneven in order to catch up. A small part of me half expects she'll suddenly trip. She's not the clumsy sort, but there are definitely times when she can be the least coordinated person on the planet.
Hey! Oh no! Wait for me!
And people wonder why I worry. And not really completely unfounded, but you've already grown familiar with her habits. Well, though, right now, this is also at the very end of the list of things I want to think about. Sometimes it just becomes overbearing. Even her voice as she calls after me sounds nothing more than background noise to my ears now.
Rebecca, slow down, will you? Your car's not going to leave without us.
The sooner we get on the road, the earlier we can get home. It's Friday, in case you didn't notice.
I know what day it is, but the traffic's not going to magically disappear, even if we go there right now.
I don't want to hear that from you. Didn't you used to complain how horrendous the traffic is back home for you?
Yeah? But that doesn't have anything to do with this, Becca.
Okay. What do you want to do then? Wait it out? Walk? I just want to go home, Isabella. If you want to stay out here longer, I won't stop you. But leave me out of it. I'm not up for any other foolish excursions tonight.
Suddenly, I have realized I am Rebecca. Because I'm the same way. I am. There's times you go out and trips have taken way too long. You just wanted to go to the grocery store and somehow, someway, it's turned into 3-4 hours and you're just like, No, I just want to go home. I just want to go fucking home now. Okay? I just fucking want to go home. And people just look at you and they're like, what is wrong with you? And I'm like, motherfucker, I wasted 4 hours just going to the grocery store. Moving on.
I wasn't thinking about an excursion. I want to go home too. It's already late.
Then get in the car! Dad! Just Dad. That would be me telling her off right now. Just get in the fucking car. Why are we talking about this on the sidewalk?
It's just that you've been in this prickly mood since earlier.
Get in the goddamn car!
Are you really okay? Was it the cold? Or did something happen at school? Do you want to talk about it?
No! I want you to get in the fucking car. We can talk while we drive. Long pause follows and holds everything she's been meaning to ask for the very start. I'm in no mood, but at the same time my hand stops short of unlocking my car and my grip on the handle tightens. I can feel her eyes boring on me, waiting, hoping patiently for any answers I'd give. She's the same as Zachary, the bad liars. When you talk to people like them, if you're not careful, they often leave you with no other choice but to admit the truth. Those exact same ones I can't voice. Despite my lack of response, she pushes on surprisingly. Not really surprisingly, she's like a dog with a bone. This time her tone is quieter, more tentative than usual.
Was it because of the letter?
No, it's because you won't get in the goddamn fucking car right now. It's a well-meaning question, but much like the rest of the talk, somehow or something and how she says it irks me.
If it is, I'm really sorry. I didn't mean to cause a scene.
I'm gonna yell.
I did see something in the mansion, though. I wasn't lying about that.
Wherever she wants to take this, I am no longer one to hear a word of it. Not at this minute. Preferably never. Especially when there are a million other things buzzing around, prodding inside my head. Sometimes my patience can only be tried for so long. That's it. Get in the car! I had to! Okay! Oh boy. This is what happens when Locum streams for 16 hours. Locum just starts going crazy, okay? Just get in the car. I'm in no mode to talk.
And during the open house, even if there were a lot of people around, there were weird things happening. I don't know if there was anyone else who noticed.
Literally said I'm not in the mood to talk, but we're gonna talk.
I'm sure it wasn't because I fell down the stairs. Even before that, in the attic,
Will you get the sorting letter? Arrest already!
The effect is immediate. Abruptly, Isabella clamps her mouth shut. Heart flickers across her face as if we give a shit. As she looks away, her shoulders droop, all before the thought of holding back on my tone or how she'll take every word crosses my mind. And the realization does hit after a twinge of guilt washes over me once. No, I have no guilt. But with all that has already been said and done, what am I supposed to tell her then? What am I so... That I'm someone who can be easily unsettled by my own assumptions? That I'm the stupid sulk that has been brought upon my equally stupid jealousy. That the simple glimpse of her and my childhood friend together infuriates part of me. That also she stands here for the last 20 fucking minutes and won't get in the goddamn car? Oh, tune in next week. Or that I wish I've been in her place during these times instead. True or not, I own neither of those. And if anything, she's the last person I want to know about.
Look here. I'm not in the mood for this kind of talk tonight. My head is aching and I'm tired. I don't want to hear about the dumb letter, or the mansion, or whatever it was you saw in the bloody attic. Just get in the car and we're going home.
Sorry. I won't mention it again.
In the goddamn car.
If you're so worried about it, why don't you just throw the blasted thing away?
You make it sound so easy.
I do make it sound easy. What you do is you should go like this. Yeah. Fuck it!
Because it is?
Mmm.
Here, hand it over, and I'll do it for you. Might as well shred it up while we're at it.
Hold out a hand to her through the gesture is without expectation. She's nothing if not stubborn, and isn't surprising when she turns the offer down with a swat over her hand.
Rebecca, just leave it alone, okay? I get it. You don't want anything to do with it.
Good. I hope that settles it.
Yeah, just forget I mentioned anything. I'll figure it out myself.
Get in the car, then. Or I'm leaving your ass here, and you can walk the fuck home. Makes me stop again. This time I turn to look at her, searching her face for any explanation. But all she offers is a sidelong glance and another one of those pained looks before climbing onto the passenger seat and closing the door behind her. Somehow, even with the steady din of traffic around us, the sound of that feels heavier, weighted with everything we refuse to utter tonight. This is what I want, isn't it? Certainly doesn't feel like it. No, it is. Thankfully, if there's anything left to be spoken between us after, we won't have to discuss it on the way home. Or rather, we can't, because no sooner than we hit the road, Isabella dozes off. I was wondering what that sound was. Heavy breathing of, like, either a pig or... I don't know. Despite my foul mood, I end up suppressing a laughter once the first sounds of her breathing fill the car.
Mama?
What?
Not your mom, Isabella.
Slow and steady, the quiet rhythm, so completely unlike her, so far removed from every impression anyone has of her. A few faint whimpers will occasionally come from her, but otherwise it's just us. Silence, and so utterly unexpected. Question, does she have her seatbelt on? No? I'm going to hell. Still a welcome break, of course. Peace and quiet is the only thing you'll rarely get with her around. Yet it's nowhere near comforting. It's merely lends the air, the strange clarity, every little sound, every single movement more palpable. And with it comes the unease. A jolt of surprise hits me. It's almost comical if for a different situation. In my haste, I accidentally dislodge my mobile from its seat of the dashboard when I swipe on the screen. Soon I'm scrambling blindly for it with my other hand while keeping a steady eye on the road ahead. A voice crackles from the loudspeaker before I put it back on. Although muffled heavily by the surface, I recognize the person on the other line from chipper tone alone.
Hello? Miss Cooper?
Oh, you're still awake. Evening. I hope I didn't disturb you or anything. I know it's a bit late. Sorry about that. I just want to check on you and Isabella. That girl's still not answering her mobile. Were you able to meet up with her?
It's not her.
Yes. She's with me. We're on our way home.
Hello? What was that again? I can't hear you properly.
Sorry. Let me just...
My hand stops dead for a moment. Spare the device a brief glance, waiting. Seconds pass. Nothing happens, though. Frankly, I'm not sure what I expected, but the lines of my mouth form into a frown regardless.
Miss Cooper?
Yes, still here.
Did you say something?
Just that I didn't get the last part. What were you saying again?
No, I thought you... Never mind. Must be the signal acting up.
Ozar Bucks Coffee.
Come again?
What?
Is everything all right over there?
Certainly. Is something wrong? What wouldn't? Okay, you seem to be busy. If this is a good time, I can just call you back some,
I have to make a conscious effort not to panic right then and there. Although my tight hold on the steering wheel tells a different story altogether.
Miss Cooper! Rose? Hey, Rose! Are you still there?
How's Isabella still asleep in the car during the... A burst of static answers from me, and... This lapse is entirely because of exhaustion. It's been a long day, and I haven't fully recovered from last week's bout of flu, contrary to what I've been telling people. Though perhaps, had I paid closer attention to it, and had not been so occupied with other thoughts, I probably would have noticed earlier that it never came from my phone, but from somewhere right behind me. Time slows to a crawl. Looking up is a mistake. The first thing I see is its face, a ghastly shade, every inch battered, bruised, bloodied. Even in the darkness, the world passing by in a blur of lights outside, I can still make out the wounds. Blood still oozes from it, those trails of crimson running down its face, glistening under the little light there is. But it is the gleam in its eye that catches mine. The quiet plea, the anguish, the desperation in them. More than its hideous features and the awful stench of gore now soaking the air. And try as I might, I can't bring myself to look away. Even as its lips contort into a horrific smile. Even as a sharp, harsh noise pierces the air in the silence around us.
Rebecca! Huh? Car! Eyes on the road!
Almost everything I've been taught and constantly reminded myself. I close my eyes. It's a brief moment. A short, vivid second of muscle memory and instinct completely taking over. And if I didn't allow it, if my hands didn't move or my feet didn't hit the brakes in that exact second, I might have. Isabella and I might have. No. I shake the notion away before I lose myself in it. Right now it's an ugly line of thought I refuse to venture into. When breathing is a struggle and every ounce of strength has been totally drained from my body. Most definitely not while Isabella's panicked voice beside me still rings in my ears. We're alive. We're safe. All that matters. But it's not her face that I look for when I finally open my eyes. All gone. I expected stains, little telltale marks, creases on the covers to show me where it sat not seconds ago. But whatever it is, it left not a single trace. And though courage is a hard thing to gather at this point, I take what little of it remains in me and turn towards the back seat. Even then, there's none. Or was there really something in there in the first place? With how empty it is, I'm beginning to doubt it. Stupid flu again.
I need a long rest after this.
My hands fall uselessly to my side. Numb from how taut my grip on the wheel is gone. It's still trembling from the unexpected rush of adrenaline. Against my ears, my heart still pounds in erratic rhythm, and my breathing hasn't slowed down. But the world has already righted itself without waiting for me. Little by little, second by second, as I sit there motionless, color begins to seep back around me. Along with it, the sounds and a voice, no longer the indistinct ringing as it was earlier.
Rebecca! Becca! Are you okay? Answer me, will you? You're scaring me! You know what? I think we should just call a taxi since...
Can you keep it down?
I mean, you just nearly killed us, but sure, we'll keep it down for you. A strain harsh and completely unintentional. But with the heat prickling at the back of my eyes and the mild throbbing at my temple, I could honestly do with a little silence for now.
Keep it down? We almost crashed, Becca!
I know what happened. It was a lapse. I'm sorry.
A lapse? You call that a lapse? Becca, I really don't want to end up a mangled mess on the side of the road, or a mangled mess anywhere. All I'm asking, if the time ever comes, which I hope isn't right now, is a peaceful death. Give that one to me at least. Not that I'm asking for it, but please.
Isabella. Belle, you're overreacting.
No, you literally just almost killed it.
If you're so worried, why don't you drive?
Okay.
Don't have a license.
Oh.
I keep telling you to get one, didn't I? For the past 5 years. Do you see why now?
I wasn't really expecting to stay here this long. I thought it'd just be for a year or two.
All of a sudden, a pensive mood comes over. Isabella looks away, and then, well, what's left of my little lecture never crosses the tip of my tongue. I don't allow it to, because in each of those words she let loose earlier is a small truth. Her stay was always meant to be something fleeting. Earn some good money, go home, it's what she tell herself during her first year here. Now, well, half a decade later, I'm not sure if she still believes that. Even I'm not sure if I still believe it. And if there's something in her reason that has changed along the way, even if I already have a hunch, it's one thing I never bothered to ask. Those are hers to keep.
I'll be careful this time, I promise. Just please, can we give this whole thing a rest for now?
She nods, and that is the end of it. We spend the rest of the trip back to Salem well in silence. All thoughts of an overactive imagination playing tricks on a flu-aided mind and of smiles never meant for my eyes, abandoned if only for a brief moment. It begins innocently enough. Tuesday morning arrives like any other day before bright and clear. Even though it comes with an extra helping of unusual October weather, I appreciate being able to catch a glimpse of the clear skies lately. I waited for it. We've lost Ashton. Still losing points with Isabella. Should have just killed her in the car. Okay. Oh, there's more. Okay, hold on. Even though... Oh, yeah. Read that one. After going through a bout of sickness last week, it was something to lift the mood of what would otherwise be a dreary day. And despite being mostly a creature of habit, I wind up waking earlier than usual because of it. Still no earlier than Isabella, it appears. I've assumed she'll take a day or two off because of what happened to Miss Cooper, but that doesn't seem to be the case. Sound of the morning news drifts from her unit when I walk past on my way to the mailbox. Chances are about this hour she's already dressed and ready to go, probably just waiting for the next bus to arrive. I've tried following her example before, but I don't think I'll be repeating that ever.
Really? How can anyone be up before the sun is up?
Every day. Every goddamn day. No. It's a habit she got from home, she said, instilled by her kind of life she grew up in. Like clockwork, it's always at 4 a.m. Oh, hell no. Either to help with the chores or prepare her little siblings for school. 6 for me. It surprises me the first time. She just didn't look like somebody who could. In the end, I've simply passed it off as one of the many things anyone will ever have to get used to around her. Not that I'll fully understand. I'm my parents' only child, we weren't well off, but so far I've lived a relatively easy life. I didn't have to think about bills or food for the next day, or paying any siblings' tuition on top of my own, or supporting a sick father's medication. All I have is to worry about are my grades, and if I'd gain Mom and Dad's approval, or what we'd be having for dinner. When put next to hers, they're pale in comparison. They look less like problems and more like petty issues this way.
Petty issues?
Did you really need to do that? As unimportant as it all sounds, sometimes its ugly head rears at the most inappropriate times. And sometimes they come through your mailbox in the form of a fancy-looking letter, pretty ribbons and all. Whoever sent this has spent silly money on the envelope alone. Verging on ridiculous, really. I can already imagine Isabella wrinkling her nose when she sees this. Then she'll complain about unnecessary expenses and rich people problems. Yeah. I'm almost afraid to touch it myself. As if simply brushing a hand against this crisp surface will be enough to put a crease on it. And it'll be a terrible sight to send her. But as extravagant as I find this, it's really the first time I receive one. Most of the time, it's not even for me. So who am I to complain? Either way, look of surprise crosses my face once I flip the envelope over to see my parents' names written in neat script.
Nothing new then.
Their years in the academia naturally brought this with its various connections, people from other fields, art, science, business, politics, you name it. This one, though, gives off a personal vibe. Letters like this usually come from old students, people who have grown fond of my parents, and they in turn treat like children of their own. I've only met a few of them. Most have moved on because of become successful in their chosen careers. Little letters like this are their way of expressing gratitude. It's one of the things Mom and Dad are proud of. Rightfully so, and I'm happy for them. But there are times I wish they'll remember they have a daughter here. The real one. Not that it's any of importance now. Not like they didn't raise me well and provide for me. They did. I wouldn't be where I am now if it weren't for their hard work. And like a dutiful child, I do everything I can to give back. Even if it's a small thing, as letting them know that they've gotten another mail waiting for them. The phone rings for a good minute before someone answers. Mum. Her voice is warm as I remember.
Becca?
Hi, Mum. How's the conference going?
Well enough. Until your dad sprained his ankle.
Oh no, is it bad?
I'm alright. In case anyone in this family cares to listen, I'm alright. Very much alive, darling.
You sprained an ankle. Shut up.
And there you have it. He'll be up and walking in a few weeks, don't worry. We're going to have to extend our stay here until it heals, though.
You sprained a fucking ankle! Oh my god.
Is something the matter?
Nothing big. Just that this mail arrived for you this morning.
A lie. Thankfully she doesn't notice. Although if I'm gonna be honest, a small part of me yearns for her to do so and ask me about it. But I put down that idea almost as soon as it surfaces. I shouldn't make them fret. They're busy.
What does it say?
Raise your glasses, give cheers to the good times, blah blah.
Becca manners. That isn't how I taught you to read.
Hey, Mum. I'm gonna hang up now. Bye.
Sorry. You are cordially... it's an invitation, Mum, for a housewarming party. From, Hannah?
The name rings a bell, though at the moment I can't recall when or where I've heard it recently. Must be nothing too important if I don't bother committing to it from memory. There are a lot of Hannahs in the world, so who knows?
Hannah.
Mom's voice sucks.
She also wrote you a note, Mum. It says you used to be her private tutor at the Evans Mansion, and that she misses you and would love to see you two again.
Makes my heart clench to read another. Openly say the words to them. The same ones I want to tell them. Want to see you too. Been years since we've been together as a family. And if there's one thing that hasn't changed from childhood, it's that Mum and Dad are still busy with their respective careers. Out of the country, away on some meeting or symposium, sometimes from months on end. It only grew more frequent with the years until I'm old enough to live on my own. I'd like to think that's how I've become independent at such an early age. They always praise me for that. Times I wish they didn't.
Evans? Oh, I remember
few years ago. 7 now, I think. But, they grow up so fast, these kids.
Yeah, she invited us to that too. Fonty de Medici. But we missed that one because you had to present your paper in Singapore.
We did send her a note after. Still a shame we couldn't attend, though. What is it about this time?
She sent another invite for a housewarming party. Becca, when is it?
This Friday, Mum.
Oh, that's too bad. We'd love to be there, but Da's not in a condition to go walking around.
Does. Someone who got Da in Discord.
I guess we'd have to decline again. I really miss that girl.
I could go in your place.
I let it slip without thinking. Personally, I've never been fond of gatherings, regardless of how simple people make it seem. But if there's one thing I hate hearing, that disappointed note in Mum's voice always ranks first. Whether it's directed at me or some other thing, doesn't matter.
Are you sure? Don't you have work this Friday?
The event will be in the evening, Mum. It shouldn't take anything away from my schedule. It's all right. The
Schedule?
invite's for 2 people. I can bring someone with me so things don't get boring.
I see. Maybe you can also invite Ashton?
Mum, that's a sure no from him. He hates attending parties. But I'll see what I can do. If not, I can always bring Isabella with me. You know her. She won't say no if there's food involved.
Okay, if it's not going to be a big problem for you, I don't see why not. We owe you this one, darling.
No problem, Mum. I'll even say hi to Hannah for you.
Me owe you this one, darling.
Please do. And let her know we'd love to see her once we're back in the city. Leave her a number or something.
I will.
But you know, the two of you would have become really good friends. Don't you remember? You met with her once. If my memory serves me right, you were 12 then?
This, too, I can't recall. Probably one of those meetings where we only talked a bit before going our ways. If she did leave him an impression, I'm pretty sure I would have written about it somewhere, at least recognized her name. As it is, only a few people I remember clearly from that time in my life as Ashton and Mandy, to some extent. Mum must have sensed my confusion before, because she laughed.
Don't push yourself too hard, darling.
I'm gonna push this phone right up your ass, Mom!
Really? It felt like having 2 daughters back then. Sometimes I wish they didn't send her away to boarding school. But, well, you know how often that goes with them. Still, try talking to her while you're there.
We'll see. I'll let you know what happens after.
I'm looking forward to it, darling. Take care of yourself.
Will do. You too, Mom. Bye. Tell Da to be careful next time.
She chuckles, and then a hearty one. Tender, always light on my ears. Maybe a stern teacher, but this is the part of her I love the most. Sound of still echoes, even as our call comes to an abrupt end, bringing it with a memory from so many years ago. Not even a I love you, I miss you. Thanks, Mom. When life and responsibilities that accompany adulthood are things far from our minds, if given the chance, I'd love to go back to those. Don't dwell on it, though, shaking it all away almost as soon as the memory forms a clear picture in my head. I've always wondered how Isabella can easily pretend everything's normal over the phone call and then bounce back to her usual self immediately after. I've seen her do it plenty of times. For me, it just drains whatever energy I have. And with a whole day of teaching still ahead of me, I still can't afford to look exhausted in front of my students. Even for a wee bit. It's never been a good example to set. So with another sigh, I put everything at the back of my mind and tread back to my room. The rest of my day waits. 15 minutes later, I'm heading back out. Dressed for the day, my car keys in hand. Ordinarily, I don't stop for anything. There's never a need to. That's the beauty of this apartment complex. It's quiet and everyone keeps to themselves. No useless platitudes in the morning. No need to wear a smile on your face. At least the other people are nosy enough to ask. Today, however, the morning broadcast still plays from Isabella's room. The brisk pace slows to a stop and a frown gradually forms on my face.
She hasn't left.
Of course, this isn't unusual. There are times when I'm left earlier than she did, like last Friday before their open house. But those are days and far and few between. It only happens on the direst of circumstances. So the last part of that might be a bit of an exaggeration. However, with what's happened in the last few days, maybe today is one. The death of a friend isn't something anyone can brush off, and for someone like Isabella, well, Isabel's the kind who gets attached to people easily. With Zachary, Ashton, and I, that had always been the case. Can't imagine what she might be going through right now, especially with the woman who's someone she owed a lot, despite their training being brief. I'd given her space last night in deference, but perhaps today might be a proper time to check on her.
Oh, whatever. I've still got time anyway.
With light steps, I move closer to the door, I am already poised to knock. Still, I don't do so until I hear her answer me.
Isabella? Belle? Are you in there?
No answer. For a second, I finally knock lightly so I don't disturb her, in case she's sleeping or has merely left the telly running last night. Never mind. How she never lets that happen ever. Waste of electricity and all.
I just want to check on you before I leave. Is that okay? Are you going to work today, Belle?
Still nothing.
I'm about to leave. If you want, I can drop you off.
Another round of knocking. Then I'm fishing out a copy of the key from my bag and unlocking the door. She lent it years ago after complaining about the mess, and I offered my help in cleaning up. I thought the gesture was completely unnecessary back then. After all, I could always knock. But she never did bother taking them from me, always returning it or turning it away from the conversation whenever I insist. At one point, I simply stopped trying to hand them back to her.
Isabella? I'm coming in, all right?
Not waiting for her answer, I push the door open and step inside. Her unit, still a mess. Maybe I can't, like, scroll the room and see the pictures of her. Instant noodle cups on the table, a pile of clothes on one side, paper strewn about everywhere, and an unkept bed, among other things. This much is a given. Will always be a given. I've been here several times already, and I still wonder how she can function like a human being with the place in the state. However, that's neither here nor there. I'm not sure what I expected, but it's certainly not finding an empty flat. Granted, she could have left earlier, far earlier than usual. She never ever leaves without making sure she's unplugged everything. That's something she doesn't forget to do. It doesn't help that her bathroom appears unused this morning. Another habit, and it only means that she hasn't been here since last night. Perhaps even since the morning after Miss Cooper's death. Either idea doesn't sit well with me with the news we've been hearing lately.
The authorities are still trying to find the cause of death for all the victims. Early investigation revealed most of them were employed under Briar Realty Corporation at the time of death. Meanwhile, BRC has refused to comment on this.
Gathering my wits, I immediately place a call to her mama. It rings a good minute, and the sound of comfort in itself, but when another minute rolls by without her answering... Does no one in this game have voicemail at all? Well, I'm not a woman prone to panicking. Sudden bouts of temper, maybe, but never panic, despite how I may sound when speaking, says the person who almost crashed the car. When I ultimately go straight to her voicemail, after a minute, a sigh is the only thing I have let out. Pause doesn't last long, though. In the next moment, my fingers are already moving across the screen in search of two people who might be able to help. It's Ashton's number I find first and dial. I call it and have it, but even Isabella thinks he's dependable when the situation calls for it, despite how much they give each other grief. That already says a lot about him. There's Zachary, but around this hour he's probably still sleeping. If he has freelance work, it's very likely he's gotten himself in bed. He's the last person I want to bother, if anything. The wait doesn't take long. Soon, a click when Ashton's voice echoes through the receiver, rough and very heavy from sleep. He never did grow fond of mornings.
Becca? Christ, what time is it? What's up?
Not you, apparently.
Good one. Did you call us early just to make that joke? I'm going back to sleep.
No, Ash, hold on. This is important.
Becca, stakeout last night. Make this quick. I've still got a few hours before the chief bothers me.
Sorry, I'll let you go back to sleep after. It's just that... Wait, you were on a stakeout last night?
Did I say that? Shit. Forget I said that. Forget I said anything. Forget we had
So, you have no idea?
About what? About what? I also have no idea why we're talking so early in the morning, so there's that.
No! Will you stop sleep talking or whatever for a second? Belle didn't come home last night. She's gone!
Who?
Isabella!
Instead of an answer, a brief pause comes after, followed by something blunt and heavy hitting a hard surface and a string of, rather, colorful curses from him. The moment might have been one of many things I'll keep to myself and remember fondly in the next few days if things aren't the way they are. When he picks up again, there's no trace of sleep left in his voice.
Say that again, from the top.
Isabella's gone, Ash. She didn't come home last night. Her flat's empty. She left her telly running. You know she doesn't do that at...
Okay, Becca, stop. Calm down first. You're starting to panic.
You don't say.
I'm not!
You are. Breathe. One person's not going to simply disappear like that. This is Isabella we're talking about.
This guy works for the police department where people have been disappearing all the
Did you try
time.
calling her?
What did you think is the first thing I did? She's not picking up. It went to her voicemail.
Remember, after 2 minutes.
How about Zach? Did you check with him?
Not yet. I didn't want to bother him. You know he has trouble sleeping and all that.
Alright, I'll go ask Zach. I'll call you back.
No, wait!
Ends a call before I can utter a single word of protest. But for the first time since entering the room, tension is gone from my shoulders and my breathing has eased. The bed creaks as I sink down on it with a sigh. The telly still blares the same uninteresting news, and I'm surrounded by clutter. At the same time, it feels strangely calm to be here without worry nagging at me. I'll have to apologize to Zachary later for sending Ashton his way this early, but for now, relying on the latter, for this isn't the wrong choice. It never will be. That's something I won't ever doubt in him, much like he promises. And true to his word, he calls back only a few minutes after the last one has ended.
She's with Zach.
Oh, I'm so glad to hear that. She could have at least sent a message last night.
What are you, her mother?
It's one thing to hear from Isabel, but from Ashton?
I don't want to hear anything like that from you.
I'm serious. You've got to stop treating her like she's one of your students, Becca. You don't have to keep tabs on her every time. Last I checked, she's only 3 years younger than the two of us. That's almost a decade gap from those kids you're teaching, you know.
Says the person who keeps calling her Scaredy Cat.
That's not related at all. Anyway, I'll go check how she's doing. Don't stress yourself out. You go ahead to work.
Wait, you? Don't you have a precinct to be at? Whatever happened to not treating her like one of my students? Because if anyone's going to ask me, I think you're doing the same thing.
Zach said it's an emergency. Something happened last night.
Emergency?
He didn't put in those exact same words, but it sounded like it.
Ash, what really happened? Is Isabella fine?
She's alright. She's safe. Zach let her stay the night after she... Look, okay. Z-Man wasn't clear about it, but let me handle this. I'll check on her. I'll bring her home.
Sounds like a lie, if I ever heard one. The sort where he admits things so people don't fret, and I'm not sure whether I should be happy he cares that much to do it, or there shouldn't be a need for this between us, is there? We grew up together, didn't we? He knows I'm capable of at least hearing out the truth without gnawing at me for the rest of the day. He knows me better than that. I know him better than that. Frankly, there's plenty of other things to say about this. But despite, and after all the trouble he went through with how things are moving at the moment, the only one thought occurs to me. What should I say? Well, we are supposed to be a group of friends, so... why does he have to go to such lengths for a person he only met 5 years ago? I wish I could ask him that. And why don't you? I wish I could simply say to his face and finally get a straight answer from him, instead of doing whatever this is we're doing. Instead of beating around the bush. Are we gaining with him or losing with him? Has the years changed us this much? Has adulthood changed us this much?
You've done enough, Ash. Let me take it from here.
Ashton is quiet for a little while I can almost see the frown in him, hear the gears turning in his head.
Don't you have a class to teach today? Tuesdays are your busiest this school year, aren't they?
Yeah, but someone has to check on her. And I don't want to impose on you any further. I've already disturbed your sleep.
You're not imposing. Besides, I'm doing you a favor. I know you, Becca. You hate being late or missing a day of work for a very small thing. Leave this to me.
You said you're waiting for a call from the chief.
I'm dropping by the precinct anyway. There's some trouble I have to fix with those guys. It won't be completely out of the way.
Ashton,
I trail off, lost for words in the end. From the start, it's a losing battle. We may have been together for a long time, known each other for a better part of, than other people, but that doesn't mean we often see things eye to eye. Time and time again, it's a matter of agreeing to disagree. This is off to how the status quo is kept. Whichever or whenever it comes to this, I can only accept it begrudgingly.
Okay, whatever you want to do.
I'll let you know what happened afterwards, I promise. I'll call you later. You have a good day.
My butt hurts. I admit that the way he puts it isn't comforting enough. He can be so blunt like that. So many unknown variables, so many words left unsaid. I wish he'd simply just lay them all out in the open, because like this I'm more inclined to think there's an exaggeration on the other's part. If it's from Zachary or Ashton, I don't know. In the end, all I can do is wait, go about my day, and hope for the best. Before leaving, I spare Isabella's room one last glance, disturbingly quiet now without her in it. I'll get the answers from her later. For now, my concerns are best left here. The rest of the day slips away in a blur. Despite my best efforts in keeping this morning's events from surfacing in my mind at 6. In a way, everything today simply feels like a reminder. Every conversation, regardless of how casual, every topic, no matter how mundane it seems. I blame the news entirely for this. Recent happenings brought a few interesting stories to everyone's attention, mostly superstitious talk of death. And when locals talk about death here, anyone can be sure as hell count on someone bringing up the mansion Isabella sold not just a few weeks ago. Even my own students stopped yapping about it. And I think it's even worse that it's when it's put back up on the market. Now there are more stories. If this is the world reminding me of what matters, or simply because the atmosphere around this time of the year calls for it, I'd rather take the latter. At least then I can be sure people will forget about it in the favor of another set of holiday after. Nevertheless, this may be a painful thing to admit. Listening to them is a pleasant distraction while waiting for Ashton's call. Hope you didn't forget, school day's about to end soon.
No, that's got nothing with what I heard.
You always hear stuff. I'm not sure if half of them's even real.
No, really. Rowan knows about it. He used to be in the same class with them.
I can hear you from back here, you know.
Whatever, Rowan. Anyway, the story goes like this. There were 3 of them. They entered the mansion on a dare, and they were all never seen again. No one knows what happened to them, up to this day. Scary shit, man.
Cock and bull story. Calling it now.
No, you don't get it. Why don't you ask Miss Gales then? Better yet, why don't you go inside the place? I'm betting my allowance you can't do it.
The talk only halts when I look up, all of them suddenly pretending to be engrossed in their current activity. Still, a word to put a stupor in this nonsense is needed. Creativity and imagination fostered by these stories is one thing, but reckless ideas should be corrected before anything potentially tragic comes from it.
Back to your worksheets, everyone. And I don't want to hear any talk of dares or going inside that mansion. It's private property now. You'd all better stay away from it before...
With the noise, the whole lot of them go silent. You can almost hear a pin drop. Look on their faces would have made for a funny picture, but that's irrelevant at the moment. If that is a student loitering around, someone's going to be in trouble.
I'll be back. If you're done, you can leave your worksheets on my desk. Keep the noise to a minimum while I'm gone, okay?
I can sense her eyes on me as I walk out the door. A muted kind of anticipation. Bit of unnerving, but it's far more agreeable than the feeling of being watched I've been enduring these past few days. Class is still in session for most of the rooms. In a few hours, once the final bell rings, however, the place will once again be filled with busy chatter and footfalls, an everyday cycle in and of itself. But for the moment, I let the silence guide me, my ears focusing on whatever sounds there are, or there will be, searching for the distinct clanging of metal. A good minute passes, and as for the portion of it, only steps echoes through the hall, and another. I'm about to turn around when the sound of it halts my footsteps. A little muffled and infrequent, but it grows louder after each interval. Of the hallway devoid of people, if I don't put a stop to it soon, I'll start to disturb the other classes still going on. Looking for it doesn't take long. All I have to do is follow the racket, and shortly I'm standing in front of a nondescript row of unoccupied lockers. From inside, one of them sitting in the middle, comes the noise, annoyingly disruptive now that I'm facing it. Like someone's pounding on the metal door from the inside, hoping to get out. Leaning forward, I try to get a glimpse to the horizontal slats of whatever's causing it. But in the light, only darkness greets me, and another round of clanging. Louder than the previous one. More desperate. I've heard stories before from other schools, from a few colleagues who had to deal with it once or twice. Although personally, I'd never encountered one myself, and I can only thank the heavens I haven't yet. But
If this is another kid some other student stuffed in a locker.
with a huff, I straighten up and study it briefly for the frown. Without delay, I reach for its handle, and at once it stops, immediately replaced by a muffled sound of a mobile phone ringing. I give the door a few raps before taking my attention away. A second, another. When nothing or no one responds, I finally avert my eyes and I pull out my mobile phone. Ashton's voice greets me from the other end of the line, oddly cheerful in the light of this morning's matters. Maybe because I'm expecting some grave or serious news from him. Did I get this?
Hey, Becca.
Well, you sound happy.
I do? My voice still sounds the same to me.
No, it doesn't. Only two things I know that could be the reason for that tone. Sweet, sir, he's gotten a good lead in the case. From the sound of it, I'm going to assume it's the former, since lately the case is all that's running inside of his head. If there's ever a third one, I've never heard of it yet. Porn, maybe. I don't know. It can only be one of the two.
Ignore that. How's Isabella?
You were home a few minutes ago. I think she's sleeping now. Sorry this took a while. Z-Man gave us the puppy eyes after we tried to leave. Had some food prepared for us, apparently. We didn't have the heart to say no.
That's all right. Is she okay now?
I'm not really sure. She didn't say anything to Zach, but she mentioned a plan to take a few days off from work. It was a passing comment before I left her, so I didn't get to ask.
Must be because of Rose's death.
Could be. It doesn't seem like it from Zach's story, though. He said she was shaking when she got there.
Shaking?
Word triggers a memory. From 3 days ago, on the way home from her little treat after she sold the mansion. I didn't think of it at the time, but I won't lie, it scared me. Terrified look on her face, how she sounded when she suddenly screamed.
Becca? Still there?
Yeah, I just remembered something. Sorry, don't mind me.
Look, if you can talk to her, get the story out of her. That would be great. She wouldn't talk to Zach or me even when I tried. Maybe she'll speak up if it's you?
I'll give it a go, but I can't promise anything, okay? You know how stubborn she can get, but thanks for letting me know about this.
No problem. If anything comes up, just drop me a line.
There's a short pause before he cuts off the call in the end, and once again, I'm alone with my thoughts. Rather than answers, all I got were more questions, more of them. On top of the others, as if the world wasn't planning to give me a break anytime soon. But that's a problem I'll tackle later. Right now, I've got students who need to be taught follies of eavesdropping. If the slightest open door and their smothered laughter from inside is any indication.
All right, enough eavesdropping. All of you, back to your seats.
Is that your boyfriend, Miss Gales?
Hey, you want to know what's going to be your boyfriend? My foot up your ass. Now sit down.
None of your business.
He totally is.
A scuffle follows that comment. There's a retort prepared at the tip of my tongue. I drop every pretense of letting it loose on them. There's no use arguing with teenagers sometimes, boisterous as they all are. They're still my kids, though rough and round the edges maybe, but still my kids. Shaking my head, I head back to the classroom with a smile, but not before taking a glance at the locker again, as I made a sound sense.
Must be the wind.
Right. But without another look, I leave it alone. I mean, okay. All in all, the entire school day ends without a hitch. It could have been gone better, mind you. But with the same exams nearing, getting out of work before the sun is set looks as though it's a far-off dream for now. At least until they're over. Then we have the holidays to look forward to. There really are times when you simply take what you can get for the time being.
Nothing wrong with that.
All I'm hoping for is this will continue until the workday ends. There's still that promise I made Ashton, and frankly the idea alone doesn't sound good. If Isabella didn't talk to them, what makes them think she'll talk to me? It's not like there's a hierarchy, is there? Because I can handle Isabella's childish tendencies doesn't mean I can do it all for all the time.
Really, those two give me too much credit.
Interesting. Nevertheless, I'll keeping my fingers crossed, if only because I'm worried about her. And both Zachary and Ashton deem it important that somebody gets the story out of her. Here's to hoping it's got nothing to do with the letter again. I understand if she feels a bit stressed lately, but keeping that story going on for more than a week is, well, it's bound to get tiring at one point. Seriously, I merely don't want this to end into another argument. God willing, the cafe's special will help smoothen things out. Question, what's at the cafe? What's the special? After all, it's always been food with her. Or money. But mostly food. At this hour, the cafe is usually filled to the brim with people. That's the reason Isabella and I rarely ever go during the evenings. It's simply too much of a hassle when we can prepare food ourselves in the comfort of our homes, and there really isn't much reason to eat out lately. What with life going on a busy streak? No time for long lines, better spend that doing something productive, yes?
Lucky there isn't one tonight.
Only a few people are idling around the counter. 4 of them, in fact, a woman in her 60s, a teenager busy with his phone. Both are waiting to be served with their orders. The other 2 are, oh god, why can't I get away from you? The other 2 are a posh-looking man and child who immediately recognizes Kylie appear to not have yet picked anything they want. For some reason, my stare lingers at the guy. Though dressed relatively well and looks harmless, I haven't seen him around these parts before. Someone new in the neighborhood, perhaps? Even so, there's something familiar in him. It feels like I've seen him somewhere before. Yeah, at the beginning of your fucking story arc. You know, dark aura, standing there talking, annoying British accent. Oh my god. Anyway, also begs the question of why Kylie is with him. Of course, the girl easily takes a liking to anyone who buys her sweets, so it's both a bit of worrisome and unsurprising. The blonde bloke doesn't particularly look thrilled with the company, though. I tear my eyes away from them soon enough, once the guy at the counter appears, ready to take my order. And I also hate being accused of oogling strangers.
2, evening special, takeout.
Already punching the order before I even finish. Saying my order out loud is really more of a formality's sake and made out of habit. He has known Isabella and I long enough that if we ever drop by here, he knows that it's always because I'm buying dinner for the 2 of us. I rarely visit here alone if I can help it, but Isabella can sometimes be a bad influence. Gives me a small smile before leaving to prepare my order, while I fish for my wallet when...
Look, you little ankle biter. If I buy you the biggest parfait they have, will you please behave? I would just like 10 minutes of peace and quiet.
You said you'll get me some bread pudding this time.
Yeah, well, darling, they said they ran out of it. Just pick another one so we can be on our way.
Bread pudding. I haven't had that in a long-ass time.
Their parfait doesn't look as cute as the one my mom bought me.
Parfait is just ice cream, sweetheart. It'll melt no matter how dainty it appears. In the end, it'll all look like an ugly puddle. Now come on, just pick one. It could even be the most expensive one on that list. I don't give a shit.
And hey, when you eat it, it will come out as poop. It won't matter. Okay? Parenting 101.
Care, I don't care what I would give for someone to buy you off my hands right now.
What? All attention instantly snaps back to them in their conversation. Jumping to conclusions isn't something I'm particularly fond of, especially when we'll have our baseless assumptions, but when you can't really trust a stranger these days. No one around the cafe seems to have noticed his words either. Very suspicious words. Still, I don't move. Yet. But my hand has already shifted from my wallet to a book I'm carrying. A hard-bound textbook. Looks harmless, but in a situation calls for it, it might be a good deadly weapon. Haven't gotten the chance to try it anywhere so far. Today could be the day.
Promised.
Look, if you don't want a parfait, how about a Bonifay pie? I'm sure it'll taste just as good as any other bread pudding.
Come on.
I'll even buy you the entire tray. How does that sound?
That's not what you said before.
Well, sweetheart, adults change their minds sometimes.
You said if I come with you, you'll buy me a bread pudding, and I did, and now you won't keep your promise. I want to go home. I miss my mom.
No, darling, if I remember correctly, and I have a good memory, honey. What I said was, if you come quietly with me, I might buy you one.
Question, or actually statement. Her head is literally bigger than his chest. I know I'm tired and all. Just give me a minute. No, it's actually bigger than his chest. So, whoever at Yang Yang Mobile doesn't know how to, like, proportion children. Like, I get it, you want her to be on the screen, but you could shrink her a little and shrink her head a little. I'm just saying. Sweet Mother of God.
The quiet part didn't happen. Though now that I'm sober, I think this is a bad idea. I should just ship you someplace else for that peace and quiet.
Oh, that's it. No hesitation. In a few paces, he's within my reach. Without warning, I'm slamming the flat area of the book against his skull. Holy sweet Jesus assault.
Ow!
There's a cry of pain, followed by him instantly crouching down, hands nursing the sore spot. Almost comically, if there were a different situation, the safety of St. Goretti student is a mistake, and probably feel sorry for him. I mean, has anyone seen how thick this book is?
Get behind me, Kylie.
Miss Pink!
It's amusing how fast her expression changes from pouting one earlier to something of her delight upon seeing me. Not you beating the shit out of me with a hard book. Yeah, her body is fucking massive and it doesn't go with the voice. And remember, she's like an elementary student, so that's even worse. But there's no time for any pleasantries, not even quick ones, because soon the man straightens and I'm ready for my favorite newfound weapon for another hit. Except this time he's ready. And before I can land another one, his hand shoots up to catch my wrist in a firm hold. And the look in his face.
Bloody hell, woman! What's your problem?
To say he's pissed would be a complete understatement. You did attack him with a book. Had I been the weak-wielded sort, I'd probably cower under his sharp gaze. But that simply isn't how I roll. Or how you page-turn? I was going for a book pun. If he thinks he can scare me and do as he pleases here just because I'm a woman or whatever his reasons may be, he's got another thing coming. So instead I return it to him with the same intensity and the same venom.
What's my problem? You're the one who has a problem here. Rotten bowbags like you don't deserve the freedom to run this town. What are you doing to this girl?
And why is that any of your business, pray tell?
Oh, it's my business if I make it to be. Now, release me or I'll call the police.
You did assault him first.
You think that scares me, Daisy?
I have a name, you sleazy douchebag.
Oh, I'm sure.
His grip on my hand only tightens when I attempt to shake it off. His tone may be dripping with anger and sarcasm, but the gleam in his eyes says it all. He's getting a kick out of this. I was just thinking a kick to the nuts would really give him a kick out of that. riling people up, getting on their nerves, invading their personal space. He knows exactly what and which buttons to push. The nerve of this person. You attacked him first with a book. The nerve of this arsehole. What is up with people saying arsehole in this game? If he thinks I'm going to give in to his goading pleas, he might as well keep it. Just kiss his sorry behind. I mean, you did attack him. Oh, fuck it. We're in for a penny, in for a pound.
Mister, you have until the count of 5 to let me go and step out of my personal space.
Fair warning. Fair that I can offer for people of this kind, and I'm already being considerate. Hell, this asshole doesn't even deserve a warning. If he doesn't listen, well, as much responsible for what will happen next as
Or
anyone.
else what?
Oh, look at you. You kind of look like Voldemort right there. Well, blue ball time.
Such vulgar words coming out of that pretty mouth. A gorgeous flower like you shouldn't even be saying.
Don't say I didn't warn you, Bowbag.
Bowbag.
Love that intensity, Daisy. FYI, I like feisty in a woman. It gives them this certain charm.
I really hope you don't have a boing, because this is gonna hurt. Like, that just makes it worse.
Why don't you?
5.
A second of silence. And then without any preamble, my leg moves in one fluid motion and delivers a swift, powerful, well-placed kick to his nether regions. Needless to say, the effect is instantaneous. God, those cries of pain. Can I have another? He yelps abruptly, drops his hold on me, and kneels over, howling from the pain. I can see tears forming at the corner of his eyes, too. The mere sight of it all prompts not an ounce of remorse from me. I'd say satisfaction. I would have been gentler if he isn't such a dirty little prick with an ego too big for his head. Too bad. Whether this obliterates any chance of him ever procreating remains to be known. Oof. But a part of me is already praying he does never breed after this. We have never needed more of him in the world.
You mad woman!
I still can't get over how big she is. Jesus Christ. No one has pointed this out, really? Like, I'm serious. This toddler is bigger than him.
I warned you, you ass.
Why, this is harassment, I'm telling you! Harassment!
Then why don't you tell that to the police once they get here,
You despicable! Whatever you're assuming I am, I'll have you know it's all in your head. None of it's true. You best have that pretty brain of yours checked before that gets worse. What is wrong with you? Is this the face of someone who'd do anything suspicious?
Yes.
Oh? You don't think a stranger luring an innocent child with promises of sweets before whisking them away from their parents doesn't warrant any suspicion?
I mean...
You have a very funny definition of suspicious, asshole. Maybe you're the one who should have that head of yours checked.
The kid asked me to buy her sweets. You're the one who's suspicious here. I'll have you know, I have a wife.
Does that stop pedos before? That much at least appears to be a sliver of truth. He even makes a show of brandishing his left hand to my face with a flourish. Sure enough, a wedding ring is there, although that earned him an unimpressed glare from me. Immediately, a small part of me starts to feel sorry for whoever, whatever, poor woman married this sod. I don't understand why he has to bring her up, either. If the mention of her alone will magically present a solution to his problem. She must be truly a remarkable woman if she can handle a dirtbag like him.
And even my wife of all people in this bloody city, has never, I'm telling you, accused me of such a scandalous thing! You crazy woman!
How's your nuts?
Married or not, you're still a sleaze. Honestly, I feel...
Miss Pink, Why are you fighting with my Teal?
Whatever word still left to be said, here dies on my tongue. How is your head twice the size of his, and your head is bigger than his chest? Is he a really dinky small man, then? Besides us stands Kylie, gawking at us with the same curious stare she often brings with her. I can't do this with this child anymore. I know that look all too well, a precocious child through and through. She doesn't say anything further. Her gaze simply moves between us, and eyeing us both carefully, clearly anticipating the answer. From my experience, when it gets like this with a child her age, it sure is a sign that they won't leave you until you have given them an answer they're satisfied with. Lying won't do either. It is dissolved into shouting match, for heaven's sake. And did she say Tia? Something falls straight to the pit of my stomach at that. My tone is gentle when finally addressing her, void of apprehension and what might be first hints of embarrassment. Hold on. How do you hate me less than Isabel? Alright, whatever. I pointedly ignore the latter. It can very well be just the hunger speaking.
Kylie, sweetie, do you know this oaf?
Yeah, he's Teal Luke.
At the moment, my brain stops. Every line of thought, every argument I still have against the man beside me dissipates in a haze. Amidst all of it, one memory gets triggered from a few days ago.
Tio? The one you mentioned before? The uncle? The guy Rowan wanted to impress? Or was that a dare? I'm sorry, I can't recall. Is it the one who promised he'll take Big Brother someplace cool?
Yeah, the one in the same. Don't you know who he is?
I sure as hell don't, darling. Because if I do, I wouldn't have let anything I've said earlier come out of my mouth.
He's my Teal Luke. Gazillionaire extraordinaire, am I? No, the fairy godfather.
He's your godfather. That's nice.
The one and only. Did I get that right, Teal?
More than right, sweetheart. I'm sure Miss Pink here understood everything you said quite perfectly.
Whatever it is that landed at the bottom of my stomach prior, it shot straight up to my face and stayed there. The heat from it slowly spreading to my cheeks, coloring my face in almost the same shade as my hair. If only the earth would swallow me whole here and now. His eyes are on me, I can feel them jeering, mocking. I can't even bring myself to look at him. What's in there? Amusement? I doubt it. He's probably having the time of his life right now. Not after a kick to the nuts, no. You're not going to have a time of your life for quite a while. But I know I can hear the sneer in his tone alone when he talks. He has a smug grin on him, which I may or may not want to punch off his face at present, just for the hell of it. But damage control. I'm gonna apologize to the child. Of course, an apology is the most appropriate thing to say, but no matter how much I will myself to do it, my own body refuses to budge, my own mouth refuses to open, and my head rejects the idea of looking at him. An apology for an hour's hold. Not to someone with an ego too big for his head, which is amazingly small. Let his pride suffer. I'm not gonna eat my words for the sake of stroking his damn ego. Less reason for him to gloat. Kylie, however, I owe an explanation.
Don't worry, Kylie. I'm not fighting with your Tio. This is just, a discussion. A very serious discussion between a very mature adult and one that's not.
Really? But I've never seen Teal angry before.
Who cares about
It's
Tio?
because he's losing the argument. But don't ever follow his example, Kylie. You should always learn to be patient, even if things aren't going your way, okay?
I mean, you did attack him with a book first, I mean...
Oh sure, a discussion. And it involves hitting random strangers you meet at a cafe with a book. A hardbound book. Mind you, the little me hasn't recovered yet.
Listen, at least it wasn't a fucking copy of Moby Dick, okay? just went so well. That went just so fucking well.
If my future generation never survives from this, we are going to have more than words, woman!
I don't allow Kylie ears to cover both of her ears with my hands. As fond as she is of this man, there are words he shouldn't be saying in front of a child. How can he not know that? More importantly, how on earth did someone like him become a godfather? Who allowed it? Maybe I should talk to Miss Suarez about it. Warn her how he's not a good influence for her child.
Language! How can you use such crude words in front of her? Your goddaughter can hear you, for heaven's sake.
Oh, and you didn't. If I remember everything correctly, you called me a rotten...
So you're going to repeat it in front of her, just to make a point? What, are you 5? Even 5-year-olds are more sensible than you.
Even Isabella. I can say that with much certainty.
Even 5-year-olds are more sensible than you.
See what I mean?
Are you fighting again?
No, honey.
Oh, no. Like I said, we were just having a discussion. We're actually done now. But you need to promise Miss Pink you will never grow up like this guy. Good kids don't do what he's doing.
But I like Tio.
Then you're an idiot.
And I'm quite sure Tio likes you too. But liking people is different. Just because you like him doesn't mean you have to be like him.
No, I mean, it's good logic, but it's not great.
There are better role models for you aside from him.
Like you?
Not exactly what I'm trying to get at. But if that's what you want, I don't see why not.
Okay, I want to be like Miss Pink someday. I want to be a teacher.
You want to kick him in the nuts, too?
And I promise I won't be like Tio, even if he's a gazillionaire.
Wow. Turning my own goddaughter against me.
Listen, at least she didn't kick you in the nuts.
How mature of you, Miss Pink.
His tone makes me pause. For the first time since this talk started, I look at him. Briefly, something flashes behind his eyes, something close to what might be an expectation, falling, dismay, I can't be sure. It passes almost as soon as it appears. What's that about? Does he actually like having Kylie around? Doesn't seem like it, from the get-go. But if that fond smile on him is anything to judge by, then maybe.
Don't worry, Tio. If you buy me bread pudding tonight, I'll like you again.
Oh, if that's all it takes, consider it done, sweetheart. We might have to find another place to buy it from, though. Somewhere safe, where a random crazy woman isn't going to attack us out of the blue. Let's go.
Okay. Bye, Miss Pink. I still like you, just not more than Tio anymore. See you.
Kylie's already pulling him to the cafe's exit before I can protest on it. Although it's not like they're that there's anything to object on further. I may view that man, Luke, as someone hateful, maybe to the point of seeing him as an eyesore, but I don't think there'll be any bearing on what that child thinks of him. When you think about it, if she admires him so much like that, then maybe there's still something agreeable in him. A part of him only Kylie sees. He still has the gall to wink at me before they both disappear behind the door, so maybe not. However, there's no moment to ponder about it. Seconds later, the guy at the counter waves me over and hands me a paper bag as soon as I paid. I'm crying. This is great. Yeah. He offers me another smile before I leave. How did during this whole scuffle, no one just step in and say, "Madam, you should stop that," or, "Help, please," or something? Just, guy at the counter just smiles like, "Ha ha ha, thanks, ha ha, I like you." The timing I do so freely. After that encounter and the scene we've caused, seeing a friendly gesture being extended to me, albeit from a person I barely know on a personal level, it feels like a reassurance, despite bearing no promise of a better day. I take what little I can get of it with me as I step out into the night. The cloudless night sky greets me when I walk out of the cafe. Beyond the tall buildings, a blanket of stars spreads out before me. Isabella once told me that the best place to view it is someplace outside the city. away from the noise and the obtrusive lights. She'd seen it once in her mum's hometown, another time in the university she used to attend. Then she asked if it's possible to try it out here somewhere. I agree with her at the time, if only because she appeared excited at the mere prospect of it. We made those little plans along with Zachary and Ashton, though up until now we never got around to it. Even so, I find myself enjoying this, despite being told it's only half the experience. Little things, you know, stuff you learn to appreciate when you're not alone, or when you're alone. Because at certain times you get to meet people who are unfortunately born with innate talent to ruin the mood and the scene with their mere existence alone. For example, the driver of the car fast approaching my direction. Luckily, he doesn't notice me. The fleeting moment we pass each other by gives me a brief glance at the people he's with. Kylie is sitting on the back seat with a serving of red pudding in her hands. And beside him must be his wife. He takes a turn and disappears at the nearest corner. Throughout the night, the cursory glimpse of all things to bother me has left me wondering what kind of person his wife is. And more than that, as a silent prayer to the universe, I hope I don't ever cross paths with the douche again. Driving such an eventful day, anyone will think nothing will surprise me anymore. We lost even more points, randomly. Beautiful drawing of this. Only we would have had a drawing of him being kicked in the nuts. But here I am, standing at the top of the stairwell, watching an odd scene unfold before me. Relief crosses my mind first, followed by confusion.
What is she doing there?
Although, given what happened this morning, the question feels a bit inappropriate to ask directly. What's important is Isabella's here. She's sitting cross-legged on the hallway, just right in front of her room, with several papers and folders scattered about. Each of them seems as important as the next. More than once, upon giving the scene a quick scan, I spot Briar Reality logo at the topmost area of the pages. Everything considered, it's like a mess made by a third grader working on a crunch time. The landlady will have a few things to say about this when she finds out. I have a few things to say about it myself, in fact, but something in the calm, focused manner she holds herself at present keeps me from disturbing her from the reminder. She's going through each paper with intensity. Brows furrowed, lips in a tight line, both hands moving in precision movements as she sifts through each sheet. When she finds something to note, she moves closer, nose almost touching whatever the paper she's holding, and grabs her phone to call someone.
Hello. Sorry to call you this late. There's something I just want to confirm, if that's okay. Yeah. Oh, okay. Thanks anyway. Not that one either.
It's a cycle. She goes through call after call, and then after the last one ends, she shuffles through the file again, dials another number. Is it work? Never seen her this engrossed with her own work before, otherwise she would have noticed my presence the moment I've reached their floor. After the ninth call, she still appears as oblivious to it as when I've arrived. When she lets out a loud sigh this time, I immediately take that as an opportunity to interrupt.
Isabella, you know the house rules here.
At once her head jerks back and hits the concrete wall behind her with a thumb. Oof. There's the Isabella I know. That it's still there. Allow her a moment to nurse it before speaking again.
Becca, you're late.
Yeah, I ran into a little trouble at the cafe. But I brought food for the two of us, if you haven't eaten anything yet.
As anticipated, she grins once. I raise the bag of food I'm holding. Yet it doesn't reach her eyes. There's nothing of cheerful glint in it this time. Just a hollow tone for the sake of being polite. Ashton's right. Something's happened.
Yeah, maybe later. I've got to finish this first. Just leave it here. I'll eat it once I'm done. Thanks, Becca.
You can't eat this here. You know how the landlady would react. Why are you even working outside? Your room's right there.
I know. Sorry. It just feels stuffy in my apartment right now. I'll go back inside once everything's been aired out. I promise.
That has never bothered you before.
Well, it bothers me now.
Oh, really? Just now? I find that hard to believe.
Yeah? Shouldn't you be happy? I mean, you've been complaining even if it's not your room. Now I know how you're feeling when it's messy, so I'm going to clean. Isn't that a good thing?
Despite what's supposed to be good news, an exhale comes from me, drawn out and
It's a
slow.
good thing, Isabella. Believe me, but you're as bad as Zachary at lying. What's really going on?
She hastily averts her eyes, a surefire indicator that this is going to be one of those lengthy conversations that can possibly end with the other person angry again. One other thing I'd like to avoid tonight at all costs. Still, I've made a promise to Ashton and Zachary. If she didn't talk to them, who else is she going to talk to? If she keeps this all to herself, who knows what might happen.
Isabella, you can tell me. Is it about your family?
Slight movement of her lips, though, although a frown of its reaction, at the least. I'm getting there.
Rose?
Really shakes her head. Just a little more.
Come on, I know something happened. I don't know if it's because of Rose, but I know it's related to her somehow. You weren't here when I visited this morning, and both Zachary and Ashton are worried about you. If you don't want to tell them, you can tell me. Does it have something to do with work? Office?
If I didn't know her, I might have missed it. She shifts then, her fists clenching tight and teeth biting her lower lip, and there's fear. The look of terror in her is the last thing I expected to see yet of everything. Her mouth trembles briefly before she opens them. When she finally voices it out, the words simply spill out of her mouth, one after another, all of it. True to what I promised her, I listen. Because this is something she's been keeping to herself, even from the two most dependable people I know. The fact that she chooses to tell me, this speaks a lot to me.
Becca, she was there again. Last night? In the office? Boss passed me all of Rose's workload yesterday. For the Ermengarde Mansion. I had to stay late to finish them all, and then, when I was about to go home, I saw her. I saw her again. She was standing in front of me again last night, Becca. I couldn't get away. She was blocking the door. If I hadn't hidden myself, even if I made the tiniest noise, if she found me, Becca, she almost did. If she saw me under my table, I think that would have been the end of it. I'm scared. I'm so scared I won't be able to do anything.
By the end, her hands are trembling and breathing comes out in raspy intervals. For a long moment, I let the silence stretch out between us, let her sobs fill instead. But even as her soft whimpers die down minutes later, there's heaviness hanging in the air. Not just from her, but also from me. From my exasperation over this whole matter, from my own frustrations over the stupid superstitions, and when she could all do us a favor and grow a backbone. She may be young, but she's no longer that young. It's all about time to put an end to this. She can't keep going on like this. She's still got plenty of years to live out. And what if she goes home? What if we're no longer there to keep her fears in line with what's real? What would she do then? I'm more afraid for her what kind of imagination will do to her than what some imaginary monster could. But with the manner she's looking at me right now, there's an expectation and a hope, a plea sewn together. She wants me to believe her this time. It's like that then what am I supposed to say now? Ah, Butsy Hurtsy. Let's see, we're at, God help me. We're going on 20 hours of streaming. In the arms of an angel. Is this why you didn't go home last night? Which I don't want to set her straight. A reprimand isn't what she needs right now. That pouty face she's giving me, I doubt it'll even end well if I push it. I know her. And when she wants to be stubborn, she's stubborn. But there are moments when she can be quite acquiescing too. I'm certain she'll be more accepting of what I tell her, despite her inclination to disagree with it. Then the talk can wait. In the meantime, it'll be the ear that listens to her without judging her, without criticizing her, despite my own opinions on it.
You should have called me.
She stares at me like I'm a grown another head, and laughter slips out before I can stop myself.
There? I can't do that!
Oh look, we gained! Somehow lost with Luke, or Ashton, but...
What will you do? Hit her with a book? You'll be dead before that happens! And...
Wait, did we tell her about the book story?
That isn't what I'm talking about. After you got out. You should have phoned me. You didn't have to go to Zachary's.
Corners of her mouth curl up a sheepish smile by general definition, but this is Isabella. Her smiles are nearly half-hearted, never lax in her high spirits. In spite of this, I know everything is going to be okay. Somehow. After all, she's learned how to pick herself up long ago, long before we met.
Yeah. Sorry. I don't even remember how I ended up in Zach's place. I was in a hurry to get out of the office, and it was already late. Besides, I don't really think you'll believe me if I wake you up over something like that.
That's beside the point. True or not, there are people who will always be concerned about you. There's Zachary, but he's the first person you went to, and you didn't tell him anything. You just slept there. There's Ashton too, and me. But how do you think I'll be able to explain to your aunt or your family if you suddenly disappeared? Think about that.
Right. I'll remember that next time.
Next time. Then she grins, likely mischievous, a preamble to an old banter. It still is not quite enough. We're quite there. Still not quite sure her usual self, but with it, I know we're bound to get her back soon.
Mom!
I told you not to call me that.
Send an elbow to her side for added measure, but then laughter follows the familiar gesture. None of it is unexpected. This is what's comfortable. This is how we found an equal ground despite our stark differences. So for the moment, I accept things as they are. Afterwards, a hush stretches out before us. For Isabella, this is rare. This isn't her. Yet in this moment, as she fiddles with the edge of another paper near her, as she hugs her knees close to herself, lets a pensive expression linger on her. It feels strangely fitting. As if this is somewhere everything's supposed to lead to, if we're allowed it long enough go. Because later the moment is broken by the sound of a door easing open and a voice begging some little piece.
How many times have I told you girls not to loiter around the hallway? It's noisy. Some people here are trying to sleep.
Shut up, landlady, and get back in your goddamn apartment.
Quiet down or go do your talking inside. I'm pinning a memo to your door the next time this happens.
Oh, a memo!
Millennials.
Boomer.
Sorry, we won't do it again.
You'd better.
You'd better! Door closes and Isabella starts gathering the mass she's made, carefully stacking them all on her arm. At a loss for what to do, I help her pick them, and for the first time I get closer to look at it. Completely unintentional, of course. It catches my attention nevertheless, and a confused frown makes its way to my face. Why is she looking through this? I look to her for an explanation, but merely ignores the question in my eyes, takes the paper off my hands, and finishes cleaning up. The last paper she put on top is a letter. The one she supposedly found in the mansion. That's probably the root cause of the odd behavior. I shoot her a questioning look for that too. But all she gives me is a smile. And in a halting tone so completely unlike her.
Becca, I'll find a way out of this. You guys don't have to worry about me. Anyways, I should go. I'll see you later.
Where are you going?
Getting myself some food. Don't wait for me.
But I have this thing of food right here. What? Isabella walks away before I can stop her, before I can remind her that I've brought food enough for the two of us. Quickly disappears down the stairwell while I'm left standing in an empty hallway holding 2 bags of takeout. One of them will go uneaten tonight. Just an innocent passing thought. One that I don't dwell much on as I head back to my room. I ignore all of it in the same way I've assumed I won't ever encounter the douche again. Grateful all of the past 2 days offered its nice while it lasted. What's nice is I get what the worries of Isabel's whereabouts creeping up to me every now and then.